Evening. It's Wednesday, it's 7 o'clock, and we are here for our Winter Wellness Live. Thank you. This is our last show of 2020. Yes, 2020 is nearly done. You'll be pleased to hear. Our last show. This is number 11. We started way back in October. For those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Kevin Guthrie. I'm a psychotherapist here in the beautiful market town of Newark. Myself and Newark and Sherwood District Council decided that we wanted to put something together to help people manage winter just that little bit healthier. We realise it's been a rough year for a lot of people. There's a lot of anxiety and stress around. So we wanted to offer as much guidance as we could around going into winter, getting out of winter the other side in a healthier way. You know, the really good news is, for everybody that's watching, that on the 21st, I believe it's the shortest day. 21st! That's next week. Next week, it's the shortest day of the year, and then the clocks start going back the other way. How amazing is that? How amazing is that? So literally, we can start looking forward to lighter nights from next whatever date it is next week, and then it's just amazing. It's just amazing. Thank you everybody that's joining me. Remember, as I always say, please share. And I know this throws a lot of people. It throws me as well. Honestly, it really does. It honestly throws me. So if there's a button somewhere. There's a button somewhere. Press the button, share it, and as you share it, then you pass out a little bit of love to everybody on the internet. Bear with me 1 minute. I'm back. I just needed my. It gets warm in here. I don't know whether it's me that gets warm or whether it just gets warm in here. So I'm just going to put a little fan thing on to keep me cool. How are we doing? How is everybody? How's your week been? How are we feeling about the big thing that's happening next week? Hey, are you ready? You're not ready? Do you not want it to happen? How are you feeling? I'm just wondering. So this evening, a little bit like last week, we are going to do something a little bit different, okay? I want to share with you a guy who I first started listening to I started reading when I was 27 years old. 27, I was working in a gym at the time, and a younger guy than me, interestingly, I was talking to him, and he said, "You should read this book." So I have no idea what I was displaying at that time, but he said to me, "You should read this book." And the book was by Dr. Wayne Dyer. And that's who I'm going to share with you this evening, Dr. Wayne Dyer. I have followed him ever since. I haven't read all his books. Later on in his career, he's passed away now, sadly. Later on in his career, he got very, very religious. And it's not that I'm against religion, but it just wasn't for me. But I still love him. I still love what he does. And then I found this a few months ago, and I just loved it. And the very last one of these that I'm going to share with you actually made me well up a little bit. So I'll be playing that at about 10 to 8. So you might have to wait for that one. So how are you doing? Remember that if you have got any questions, please ask me. Use this as your opportunity to ask me questions. If you've got a question and you want to ask it privately, then private message me, and I should be able to pick it up on my phone and read it privately, and I won't attach your name to that, okay? I promise. Because I'm aware sometimes people have got stuff to ask, but they don't want to be identified, and I'm cool with that. I've also got some questions that people have sent in, so I'm going to go through those a little bit later on. So, good evening again. Remember, sharing the love out over the internet. Let's get this out there. I am going to go straight on with our first clip. Okay, so remember, this is Dr. Wayne Dyer. I have 5 clips to play in total. These are his top 5 lessons to live life by. A little bit spiritual, but oh my God, this guy and the way he thinks and the way his mind operates blows my mind. And at 27, definitely started to change the way that I think. and definitely started to change the way that I was processing things. Some of his lessons when I was 27 were really hard. Oh my goodness, they were hard to process and hard to understand. Now, just a couple of years later, I've kind of gotten them, and that's why I want to pass them on to you lovely bunch of people. Okay, so here we go. Let's see if this will work. Tip number 1. Nope, that's not. That's the wrong one. So let's try that again. Here we go.
Change the way you look at things. The things you look at change. Albert Einstein once observed that the most fundamental and major decision that you have to make in your life is this: do I live in a friendly or a hostile universe? Which is it? Is it a universe that is filled with hostility and anger and people wanting to hate each other and people wanting to kill each other? Is that what you see? Because when you see the world that way, that's exactly what you will create for yourself in your life. This is from great scientific minds. And the interesting thing is that this is not just a clever play on words, that when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. I'd like you to imagine the following scene. You're in your house. You've got your car keys in your hand. The lights go out. Power failure. You can't see a thing. You stumble around in your living room and you drop your keys. And you look around for a moment and you realize that you're never going to find them in the dark. But you look outside and you notice that the street lights are on. So in your mind, a light bulb goes off. I'm not going to sit around here in the dark and grope around looking for my keys when there's a light on outside. I'm going to go out here under the street light and I'm going to look for my keys. Why are you laughing? This makes a lot of sense. So you're out here and you're groping around and you're looking for your keys and you're looking and looking, and your neighbor comes along and says, "What happened, Wayne?" "Well, I dropped my keys." "Oh, I'll help you look for them." And the two of us are now down here looking for our keys. And looking, finally he says to me, "Excuse me, but where did you drop your keys?" "Well, I dropped them in the house." He said, "You mean to tell me that you dropped your keys in the house and you're looking for them out here in the streetlight? Doesn't make any sense." And I said, "Well, it doesn't make any sense to grope around in the dark when there's light out here." Now you laugh and you think how silly that is, but isn't that exactly what we do when we have a problem, a difficulty, a struggle that is located inside, and we're looking for the solution outside, someplace outside of ourselves? It would be like going to the doctor and telling him all of your symptoms, and the doctor says, "Oh boy, you've got a lot of symptoms." And he starts writing out prescriptions. You need a prescription for this symptom, you need a prescription for that symptom, and finally he gets this 4 or 5, and you go to walk out, and you say, "Well, I'd like my prescriptions." He said, no, I'll give this one to your mother-in-law, and I'll give this one to your neighbor, and I'll give this one to your daughter, and I'll give this one to your father. I mean, you're the one with the struggles and with the difficulties. Expecting somebody else to change or something outside of you to get better in order for you to make your life work is something you have to really take a hard look at. It's in here.
There you go. There is tip number 1. What did you think? Let's have your thoughts on that. The basic principle of that little message there was everything is always inside. We spend so much of our life looking outside, looking out there, blaming other people, getting angry at other people, being frustrated at other people, all of those things, and yet everything lives here. All of our frustrations, all of our anger, all of our rejection and hurt and all of those other feelings that we express, they lie here. And nothing really to do with anybody else. And when we're looking for something, we are always looking inside. It is dark in there. You know, it just, at times, it can be really dark in there. And I think sometimes we get really fearful. We oh my goodness, I thought I did the thing with my mic. We get really fearful to look inside. Why do we get fearful? I think we get fearful because we're still beginning to understand the mind. We're still trying to understand the mind. And it can feel so massive and so complex, and we just go, oh, I can't do this. It's their fault. It's their fault. And then we blame it on them. But I promise you that when we blame others, or when we look out there for the answers to our issues, to our problems, we don't learn, we don't grow. Only once we get brave and we look inwards do we actually begin to grow. Honestly, and I've said it before, I get the vulnerability. I get the vulnerability of looking inwards. Honestly, I do. Honestly, I do. Having had a therapy session today, honestly, I do. I get it. I completely understand. And yes, therapists have therapy because we have to. Well, that's not true. We don't have to, but I choose to because I want to continue to grow. That's why I have therapy. So remember, if you've got any questions, please feed the questions in and let me answer whatever I can. Hannah has put, love it, makes so much sense. And Amanda Wilson has put, very powerful. Amanda also put something earlier, I think it was about the shortest day that's coming up next week. Next week is the shortest day of the year. Shortest day of the year. Get in. And then the time and the light starts reversing backwards. How amazing is that? So that was Wayne Dyer that you've just listened to. Like I said earlier, he was the first guy that I ever read. Can't remember what the book was called now, but he was the first guy that I ever read. And reading some of his principles led me on to all sorts of different concepts and models and ways of thinking, and led me to the place that I am now, which is a completely different person to the one that I was when I was 27, which you would kind of expect, given that I'm just, 2 or 3 years older than I was when I was 27. But honestly, it's doing stuff like that is absolutely profound, and Wayne Dyer himself is quite profound. Would I read him now? Probably not, because for me it's a journey, and it's a journey that you meander through. If anybody wants a good novel, but it's around spirituality, I'm very, very spiritual. And if everybody wants a good novel around spirituality, then the 9 Insights is a really, really good book. It has 9 lessons in it, but it's all based around some young people that are travelling around South America, I believe. So it's based on a novel, but it's a very, very good book. And it's one of those books that everybody thinks that everybody should read because it's really, really profound. Okay? Joanne's put made me chuckle. I'm not sure what made you chuckle, Joanne, but I'm glad that you chuckled. Did you got his concept though? Looking outside for keys just because the light's on out there doesn't mean that you're going to find the keys when the keys are in here. Everything sits in here. Okay, I promise you that I can sit here and do this now, and I can sit and talk about the mind, and I can sit and talk about how my mind used to be. Oh my goodness, my mind was a mess. At 27, I had such unhealthy thinking styles. Just really paranoid, depressed, or anxious. There were so many, too many to mention. But it was the way that I was thinking, and it doesn't matter why, and it doesn't matter where it came from. I chose then to start changing it because, as I've said before, I wanted happiness. I wanted happiness, and I wanted peace. I wanted peace in my life. Evening, Adam. If anybody wants to learn how to run, like jog, run. Adam Jackson is in the room, and he is an amazing PT and running coach. He will teach you what shoes you should be wearing and how to run like a gazelle. Hey, is that right, Adam? So get in touch with Adam. He has his own brand and everything. Really good if you want to learn how to run, and of course if you're in the New York area. If you're not, maybe Adam can do it via Zoom. I don't know. I might have just set him up there. We're going to go to tip number 2 from the lovely Mr. Dyer. So I think I've clicked on the right link, and here we go.
This is a very difficult principle for many people to get, but one that I believe very strongly in. I was in a group one time of drug addicts and alcoholics. And the sign on the wall said, "There are no justified resentments in this group. What I said to that group that night was, no matter what anybody says to you here, no matter what kind of anger comes directed towards you, no matter how much hate you may encounter showing up in your life, there are no justified resentments. Meaning that if you carry around resentment inside of you about anything or about anyone, and I'm talking about the person that you lent money to and hasn't paid you back, I'm talking about the person in your life that you feel was abusive in your life, I'm talking about the person who walked out on you and left you for somebody else, I'm talking about all of the things that you have justified in your heart and in your life that you have the right to be resentful about. And I'm suggesting to you that those resentments will always end up harming you and creating in you a sense of despair. No one ever dies from a snake bite. The snake bite will never kill you. You cannot be unbitten. Once you're bitten, you're bitten. But it's the venom that continues to pour through your system after the bite that will end up destroying you.
Another example of how everything sits inside of us. Oh, you've got some lessons learning tonight. Joe's made me laugh because Joe's put about Adam Jackson. He's my PT and my legs are hurting me today. So he's clearly a very good PT if he's making people's legs hurt. So the principle of that one, it's a funny analogy that I think what he meant by the snake bite is, a snake will bite you, so bite with teeth. It's not that kills you, it's the venom. And when we are angry or resentful or hurt or feel rejected or any of those feelings that we get through life experiences, particularly anger. Anger's the one thing that really concerns me when I see people that are angry at other people. Each one of those is like a venom that we carry inside. And I tell you why I worry about it is because it feels really, really unhealthy. And I worry what that's going to do to the inside of our body. And yes, this sounds really woo-woo, but by carrying venom, by carrying anger, it could damage our body physically, but absolutely it can. So please, again, I feel like I'm begging quite a lot. Please, again, if you're carrying anger, resentment, hurt, or any of those feelings, then please process them. One of the most common things that I do in practice, because I deal with a lot of this, I deal with a lot of people being really, really angry and really hurt and unanswered questions. And it could be that it's parents that the person can't go back to because it's just going to upset them and they're getting old now and all of that. Or it could be somebody that's passed, or it's somebody it could be somebody that they've separated from, so they don't want to go back to them and get some questions. One of the things that I encourage people to do is write a letter. And it sounds so pathetic. You want me to write a letter to the person that did that to me all those years ago? Yes, I do. And I'll tell you why. Because it allows the venom, let's say, go from here onto paper. It allows it to download. It allows it just to leave and dissipate onto paper. It can be that powerful. And then what you do with the piece of paper is you get it, you tear it up, you burn it, you bury it, do what you want with it. It doesn't matter. Destroy it in some way. And all of this, or most of this, will then have dissipated. That little exercise comes with a warning because it can hurt. It can really, really hurt. I would rather you do that with a professional in line somewhere, because then you can pick it up. But if you feel that the venom isn't too great and then you can process it, then try it. Give it a try. But what I do promise you is that if we are carrying venom here, honestly, it hurts. It hurts the system. And it just hurts the system. Let's leave it there. Amanda's put, so very true. And Hannah has put, Wow, it's been so true and hurts me, but I've been trying to deal with mine and let go. It's hard. It's hard. You know, sometimes we have carried things for so long that they literally feel comfortable. And that's a really weird concept. Why would we hold a hot coal in our hands? Why would we keep doing that if it's just burning us? But how often do we do that? Every day, every week, every month? How many of you listening to this now are walking around holding a hot coal? Put it down, because it's burning you and it's hurting you. And yes, it might have been there for years, and yes, it might feel really comfortable, but put it down, because it's not good for you. Okay, I'm going to go on to our third clip, and then I'm going to answer a couple of these questions that were sent in to me during the week. Don't forget, if you've got any questions, fire them in, and I will do my best to answer them. Somebody just put easier said than done. I absolutely agree. It's honestly, hands up, full confession, I don't want to make this sound easy, because it's not. It's really not easy. It's not easy. But that doesn't mean, just because something's not easy, doesn't mean to say that we don't do it. Because we can carry the hot coal or we can put it down. Okay, and I get that that's not easy, but we must keep trying, and we must keep trying for us, for our sake, for our sanity, for the rest of our lives, for our own peace and happiness. Right, I'm going to move on to our third clip from Mr. Wayne Dyer. Enjoy.
There are many ways to get the things that we want for ourselves in our lives, but basically, it all begins with how we choose to think. As you think, so shall you be. 7 little words that I think are perhaps the most important things that we can learn and master in our lives. This old proverb notion that I become what I think about all day long. And once you know that what you think about is what expands, you start getting real careful about what you think about. You don't allow your thoughts to be on anything that you don't want, or that you wouldn't want to have manifest or show up for you in your life.
That was a short clip. That completely caught me off guard. Sorry. It was just a really the panic on my face. It was a really, really short clip. So the principle of that one is, and I feel like I've been saying this over and over again, and remember that when we are learning lessons like this, sometimes we have to hear them repeated and over and over and over again before they finally start to go in. I can't tell you how many times I've been in therapy with somebody and they've been coming for weeks and months and years, and then all of a sudden they come in and go, oh my God, oh my goodness, I've got it. And I'm like, yes. It just has to be the right moment. It just has to be the right moment for the penny to drop, which sounds really quite light, but there has to be that defining moment where you go, got it. I've got it. I started this journey at 27. And I'm now, whatever age I am, and I'm still learning every day. I'm still learning. So the principle of that one was that what we think, we become. So my example on this one is I have my spelling and my grammar is not very good. It's just not. It's not very good. I'm a little bit dyslexic, and it's not very good. It's not my strong suit. I'm very creative, and I have a great eye for creativity and beautiful things. But I'm not very good at spelling. But the more I say that, actually, the worse my spelling gets. More recently, I've stopped saying it. And more recently, I've noticed that my spelling is getting better. I struggle less and less. But what we're thinking here, whether that be on a conscious level or an unconscious level, what we are thinking here, we become. This is like the blueprint to your life. Remember the clips that we played last week? I'll just quickly on the on the clip that I played last week. It is now on my wall in its full entirety, so you can listen to that one as well. And this one will also go onto that wall. So what we think we become, really common concept. Everybody talks about it, but it's really, really true. If I start questioning myself and if I start saying that I'm really stupid, then that's what I'll become. If I'm able to say really nice things about myself, then that's what I become. We think what we become. It's as simple as that. It is just so simple that it's crazy. The hard thing is that we are accessing, show am I going? I'm going this way. We are accessing the unconscious mind, of that part of the mind right there. Okay? For anybody that doesn't know, this is my interpretation of conscious and unconscious mind. This big part here is the unconscious mind. And if I go that way, the yellow band is the conscious mind. The grey part there is the pre-conscious mind. When we learn in the yellow. And then it drops into the pre-conscious and then it drops into the unconscious. The reason it does that is because the unconscious mind is massive and it can store things, and that's where all of our habits and behaviours form or sit. When we are thinking, we are usually thinking unconsciously. So when we're trying to change the blueprint of our life, we have to get in there and we have to delve deep to work out why, or potentially why we're stuck. Okay, does anybody have any questions on that? Because I'm aware that it can be a little bit mind-blown, all that. What we think is the blueprint for our lives. What we think, we therefore shall become. But I promise you it's absolutely true. If you've got any questions, please type them in. I'm going to go across to a couple of these questions that people have asked. So somebody asked about red flag moments, and somebody heard me talking about red flag moments and wondered what they were. Red flag moments, for me, are those little moments in life where you realise that you're a little bit off, that something isn't quite right, that something isn't quite right with yourself, with your mind, with your body, something, okay? So we develop, in therapy, what I do is I try and develop with people a series of, not a series, a set of red flag moments. So red flag moments that when they happen, we can go, oh, that's happening. Okay, so what am I not doing? One of my red flag moments is, my classic that I always talk about is snapping at the dog. I've got the most beautiful little dog. She's really cute, she's really lovely, getting a little bit old now, and she never ever deserves shouting at. Never. She doesn't deserve shouting at because she's just amazing. She's just wonderful. So if I snap at her, there's no good reason for me to snap at her, and then I know that something's off. If I snap at her, so that's one of my red flag moments, then I know that I need to go for a walk, that I need to get back into the gym, that I need to stay away from stimulants, that I just need to implement some self-care into my life. All of the things that we talk about all the time. You might think that I'm immune from all that, but honestly, I'm not. I'm really not. I'm as easy to trigger my red flag moments as everybody else is. It is just, although I practice this all the time, it's easier for me to remember my red flag moments because this is part of my everyday life. This is what I do day in, day out with myself and with other people. So it is much easier for me to recognize my red flag moments. So that's, for the person that messaged in during the week and asked what red flag moments are, that's what they are. They are moments that we recognize that something is off and that we need to maybe start doing something to then begin correcting that. Another question that came in was, somebody was trying to nail me down to my 2 top things that I would do to help or to ensure better mental health. And the 2 top things that I came up with were being outside and staying away from stimulants. They're my 2 top things. They're really personal to me, I have to say. Okay, so they're my 2 top things. For you, you might find different 2 top things. But I know that when I'm working with people, that's what I would talk about. I would talk to them about what stimulants are you kind of digesting, and are you outside and are you exercising. They would be my top 2 things. A question has come in: how to stop butterflies inside you. My go-to place on this one is firstly to recognize why do you have butterflies? There must be a reason for that, because we don't often get butterflies without there being a reason. So dig deep and work out why the butterflies are there. When we get butterflies like that, it's like a signal. It's like a signal to the body, and it's a signal that something is, I want to say something is not right, but we can get butterflies when we're excited. So identify whether they're an excited butterfly or whether they're a nervous butterfly firstly. And then once you've identified which side it is, identify why, and then face the issue head on. So I don't know, you could have butterflies because you're starting a new job on Monday. Could be general butterflies because we've been in the situation we have been now for many, many months. And people have kind of started to develop a long-term anxiety that they're almost settling into, which is really sad for me to see that happening. But how do I stop butterflies inside you? Identify, are they happy butterflies or nervous butterflies? And then work out why they're there. There is a reason. The body is giving you a message that something... Let me leave it there. The body is giving you a message of some kind. So work out what the message is. What's happening there. I really hope that helps. It's really brief, but I have to keep it brief because I don't want to complicate it. Good butterflies, nervous butterflies, and why. What is the message that the body's trying to give you? We're going to go to our fourth clip. Thank you for that question, by the way. If you've got any questions, please fire them in and I will do my best to answer them. And we are going to go to clip number 4. Enjoy.
Have a mind that is open to everything and attached to nothing. One of the central principles of my life is that no one knows enough to be a pessimist about anything. And that each and every one of us, when we close our mind to what is possible for us or what is possible for humanity, closes off the genius that resides and lives in each and every one of us. Having an open mind doesn't necessarily mean finding fault with all of the things that you've been taught by others. It means opening yourself up to the potentiality and the possibility that anything and everything is possible. So having a mind that is open to everything and attached to nothing really means finding within ourselves the ability to get rid of a trait that I find so common in the contemporary world. Do you know that most people that I meet spend their lives looking for occasions to be offended? They actually are out there hoping that they can find some reason to be offended. And there's no shortage of reasons. They're out there everywhere. The way this person dressed, what this person said, they turn on their TV, they hear the news, they're offended by this. Someone used language that they didn't like, someone doesn't share the same customs that you, and people all day long. In fact, if you keep track tomorrow, you will find probably 100 reasons that you can go around being offended. But a mind that is open to everything and attached to nothing is a mind that says, I'm never looking for anything to be offended by. And that whatever anybody else out there has to say, my response to that is, that's an interesting point of view. I've never considered that before.
There you go, clip number 4. How was that? What are our thoughts on clip number 4? That was about being attached. Being attached to thoughts. Again, I've been saying for weeks and weeks, 11 weeks, 11 shows. Yay! Thank you, Newark and Showa District Council, for supporting these. I've been saying for weeks that everything starts in here. Everything starts in our mind. And if we don't hear what's happening in our mind, then we can't begin to change some of our reactions, some of our behaviors, and some of our habits in life. And my guess is that you lovely people that listen to this week after week after week, God bless you for doing that, are here because you want to make some changes. This is where change begins. Change begins in the mind, but change begins when we hear the thoughts, feelings, inner dialogue, yak to yak, we referred to it the other week. All of those things, the chitter chatter in our mind, we have to hear it. And once we hear it, then we can begin to change it. Remember we did hear it, challenge it, change it. So we hear it, we challenge it. Is it healthy or helpful to us? And if it's not, then we change it for new script. One of my pieces of script used to be, I'm stupid. And actually, I'm not stupid. As I've said many times, I'm not stupid. I'm just a little bit dyslexic. And at school, I wasn't academic. I'm not an academic person. I'm a creative person. But for years, I thought I was really stupid. And actually, I'm not stupid. So I had to change my script to allow me to sit here and do this now. To allow me to sit here with confidence and be able to do this right now. Evening, Gary. Sorry, I was saying good evening and reading a question at the same time. Don't do that. It's not good. That is really hard for some people to do. Change. Honestly, Amanda, it's one of the hardest things that we have to do. But I believe truly that if we have a desire to change, the prominent word there is desire. We have to have the desire to change. If we have a desire to change, then we can change. And that whole set of work is a little bit deeper. And maybe in the new year we'll do a subgroup and we'll go somewhere else and we'll do a deeper bit of work that is more closed off and less open to the whole of Facebook. Maybe we'll do that to help you identify some of those things and some of the things that are stopping you, some of the old scripts that are stopping you from changing. Maybe we can do that. Excuse me. Joanna's put, I find people that just don't want to be offended, but some want to be angry. Oh, a lot of angry people around at the minute. Some people watch the news or scroll through Facebook. It sounds like me. Just to be angry. Not good. I completely agree. For some people, it's like a go-to place. It's like I said earlier, it's a comfort. It's almost like a comfort. It's like if they're not feeling angry. I had this conversation with somebody the other day. It was really interesting. And I had the conversation. The conversation was, if you weren't feeling that, what would you feel? And they were like, well, I don't know. Well, what do you mean? I'm like, just wondering if you're attached to that feeling. Such a ridiculous concept. But honestly, you can remember the other principle that there's so many principles about, aren't there? So remember this one that we did a few weeks ago. The mind doesn't like change. When the mind senses change, it resists. So in that example there, when we go from being really, really angry or really, really anxious right now, and then we start to calm the mind and we start to do practices that really help us become more peaceful, the mind will fight you. It definitely will fight you. It doesn't want to change. It sees it as a threat. It sees, this is the primal part of the mind, which is like that big, tiny. The primal part of the, well, it's that big, but oh my goodness, it's powerful. The primal part of the mind does not want you to change because it sees it as a threat. And we have to remember that, because if we don't remember that, then we can't get past it. And I really want us to get past that. It feels like my life work at the minute is all about change and leading people to more peaceful places. Maureen's put, caution, earplay, a big part of resisting change alternatives. Ooh, that's interesting. Caution and fear play a big part in Sorry. It's getting late. My reading skills have kind of gone off a little bit. Caution and fear play a big part in resisting change alternatives. Oh my goodness, yes. Yeah, they do. Honestly, the mind doesn't like change. We all have these really lovely little routines. We get up in the morning and we do certain things. Think about the video that I showed you last week. If we do the same thing day after day after day, in the same order, speaking to the same people, we have the same thoughts, we have the same reactions, nothing changes. We have to shift it up, and we have to step into fear a little bit. I'm so so tempted to share something with you. So my therapy today, there was a point where I looked at my therapist and I went, I'm vulnerable right now. I feel vulnerable. And she looked at me and she went, I know, I can see that. I said, and my vulnerability is holding me back from my next step. And she went, then we've just made our next step. But I was honest enough, this was the really profound moment, I was honest enough to step forward and go, I feel really vulnerable. And she just went, I know, I can see that. And then I felt held. I felt held by her. And then she was able to say, thank you. Thank you for bringing that. Thank you for being honest. And thank you for being vulnerable. Now we can move forward. Vulnerability holds us back. Write down the name, Brené Brown. Brené Brown, vulnerability. Oh my goodness, all of her stuff is absolutely incredible. Maybe if we come back in the new year, maybe we will look at some of Brené Brown's stuff because it is just incredible. Hadri's just come into the room. Hadri, you don't need to apologise. You can get this on catch up. You can watch this whenever you want. So this part we need to bottle this magic. Oh, bless you. Thank you very much. That's very lovely for you to say. We've got one more clip to play, and I'm not going to play that just yet because this last one is like the schnizzle, the one that I really, really love, and like I say, it kind of made me cry a little bit. Yeah, Vanessa's put Brené Brown is amazing. She is incredible. Texan woman with the most amazing Texan accent, but she is such an incredible presenter. I follow in Brené Brown's footsteps. Honestly, I do. She is absolutely amazing. But if you want to watch something on vulnerability, she had two podcasts. Not podcasts. She had podcasts, but these are TED Talks. Watch them in order. The first TED Talk she ever did, and then there's the second one that she did off the back of the first one, but they are amazing. Since then she's written books and podcasts and appeared with Oprah and all sorts of things, but she's absolutely amazing. Vanessa just put, check out her TED Talk. You have to do them in order. Catch the first one first and then watch the second one. She's funny. She's just really funny, but she talks a lot about vulnerability. We have to feel vulnerability, and that part hurts, or it can feel like it's hurting us. When we stop and we really feel that sink and we go, oh my goodness, I feel vulnerable right now. Please be with me. Please be with me. And then hopefully somebody's with us, and so hopefully somebody can help us past that vulnerability. But to change, we have to get into this. We have to hear it. We have to understand it. And then we can begin to make real life changes. We can begin to be more peaceful. We can begin to be more happy. All of those things. Okay, I've got another question. How can I find a mental health professional? So I get this asked quite a lot. Where would I go? What would I do? A lot of people say that your GP should be your first port of call. For me, if you're feeling anxious or depressed, then you would just go online and look for somebody. Oh, I have to be careful what I'm saying here. I'm not entirely convinced that the GP is the best place to go. For me, GPs can be absolutely amazing, and they do some absolutely incredible work. Honestly, they do. They are just amazing. But we have to remember they are general practitioners. So they are general practitioners of everything. So they are not mental health experts. If you're looking for somebody, I don't know, with a specific desire to sort out anxiety, then go onto the internet and Google it. Look for qualifications, look for reviews, ask around. Nearly all of my work now comes from word of mouth. Doesn't come from any kind of advertising. It comes from word of mouth. It comes from people talking to people. It's a really good way of, if you want a therapist, that is, it's a really good way. And interestingly, talking about vulnerability, to do that, we have to be a little bit vulnerable, don't we? Because to do that, we have to maybe talk to a friend, or maybe talk to somebody that didn't know what we were experiencing. So at times we have to step into vulnerability. So I have a question for you. The question is, this is our 11th show. We are stopping so as we can all have a Christmas break. I want to know, and you don't have to answer this tonight, but I would really appreciate it if you would send him just private messages or contact me somehow. I'm really interested in what we might do in the new year, or what you might want in the new year. Okay? I can do these, but I can only do these if you really want them to happen. So I kind of need a little bit of feedback from yourselves at the minute. We can move them on. We can take them to. We can keep this format going, but then do a more private type. I don't know. Have a think about it and let me know. And I will. Obviously, I work full time, and doing these is a resource. It takes a lot of resource to do them, but I do want to continue to do something. Okay, so let me know. Let me know. If you don't comment in this feed, then and you want to come back to me privately, then I'm absolutely good with private messages. Okay. There are self-referral places who can help. I've been to a few. Absolutely. There's definitely avenues out there. Just be careful what avenues you go down. Try to look for recommendations. Try to look for not accreditation, because that can be. There's no guarantee. If you're looking for a therapist or a counsellor, if you go to like counselling directory, then to go onto counselling directory, you have to have a certain set of qualifications. So that can be a good place to go. But for me, asking around, asking people who have maybe used a therapist, and be brave, step into that vulnerability a little bit, and just say, I'm looking for somebody. Do you know of anybody? Okay, that's how we find a mental health professional. I think that would be me. Joanne Heller's put, January is a tough month. It is. It really is. It really is a tough month. So yeah, let me know what you want, and then what I will try and do is I will try and somehow make something happen. Okay, it might not be that it's weekly, but I don't know. It's completely up in the air at the minute. We're going to have 3 weeks off, and then we're going to come back and see where it goes from there. So yeah, does anybody have any questions? I just put in, we want more. You want more? I know. Vanessa's board, definitely, and we need help to get through another potential third wave. I know, it's tough, and it's really interesting. I find this a really interesting point in the year where next week that big C word is going to happen, but then actually after that we don't really know how the landscape looks, do we? We know that everything's going to drop, and we're going to drop into January, which is the coldest, darkest month. We know we're going to do that, but in terms of the other big C word that's out there, we don't actually know what's going to happen. So maybe there'll be a third wave. I don't know. Honestly, I do not know. Amanda Wilson, absolutely. Sharing these feeds kind of keeps them going and builds the momentum of them. It's not about me. It's about getting people attached to them and watching them, and the more and more people that watch them, the more impotence they have. So even afterwards, share them out there, get them out there. I have another question. So it's about medication, this one. This might not appeal to everybody, but somebody asked that they had been taking medication and they were feeling better. Should they stop taking the medication? No. No. We never, ever stop taking antidepressants like that. Never. No, just no. I can't tell you how many times do I say that? I can't tell you how many people I've worked with and they say, I've stopped taking it. Or I ran out of my prescription. Now I feel terrible. Why do I feel terrible? Medication, antidepressant tablets, anything like that is going to rebalance the chemicals and hormones in our body. Once it's removed, our body goes to pot and our mind goes to pot. We mustn't ever stop taking antidepressants like that. We must always tail off them terribly slowly. Not over like 2 or 3 weeks. I'm talking like a couple of months. And yes, I'm over-egging it, but I would rather over-egg it and not see somebody go sideways, so to speak. So in answer to that question, the person that asked that during the week privately, if you're feeling better, should you stop taking medication? No. You mustn't stop taking it. You must carry on. And if you feel you want to come off them slowly, then talk to a professional and make a plan to come off them slowly. Okay? Right. We are going to go to our fifth and last clip from the lovely Wayne Dyer. Enjoy. This is the one that really touched me. I'll explain why afterwards. Here we go.
The next principle I call don't die with your...
There you go. That's the last clip from the lovely Wayne Dyer. Thank you for watching those. I really did want to share that lovely man with you because, like I said many times during this feed, he was my first inspiration into getting into matters of the mind. Why did that clip there make me well up a little bit? I think it was to do with life's purpose. I think it was to do with having a purpose in life. And I think for me, when I watch that, I often feel so honoured and fortunate that I can do this kind of work and that I can work with lovely people like yourselves, that it just feels like I have a purpose. Yeah, and it feels like, although I sometimes feel like I'm going to work myself into an early grave, I kind of don't mind because I'm so passionate about what I do. A lot of my passion comes from me and my struggles and my understanding and my growth and my learning and wanting to pass that on. But yeah, I just really wanted to share that. And if you have music inside of you, and you know, this goes for all kinds of music and this goes for physical music as well. If you have music inside of you, please make sure that that music is being heard by the world. If you look at something like Hadra, for example, Hadra is the most amazing curator of ladies' accessories on Stodham Street in Newark. Just the most beautiful stuff. And I kind of look at Hadra sometimes and I'm like, yeah, look at you with your purpose. Look at you with your creativity and your ability to create and I can't say that, curate and make amazing windows. So find out what your purpose is and look for it and try to make it happen. My purpose didn't come until much later in life. I found, so it doesn't matter what age you are, there's still time to find your purpose. Amanda's put, wow, so relevant this year, and so many people reflecting this year and questioning their purposes in life. Absolutely. For those of you that have just tuned in, where have you been? This is available on Catch Up on Go Through Therapy's Facebook page when I have finished in just a few minutes' time. It's been a year. It really has been quite the year. A year that nobody would have ever expected that was going to happen. And now we are. What are we away from the end of the year? A couple of weeks. I don't know. Before this one ticks over and another one ticks in, but you know, that's just another day. Just because we go into 21 doesn't mean that everything changes. Everything changes when we begin to change this. Not when we get to the 1st of January, not when we get to Mondays, not when I'll just do it then, I'll just do it after Christmas, and I'll just do it. No, do it now. Make the changes now. And remember what I've always said, that little changes all the way. Baby steps forward. Micro changes lead to big changes over a few month period or a year's period. That's when we see the big changes. But for the time being, set yourself little goals and do them now. Don't do them on Monday or on the 1st of January. You could maybe get away with that now, given that we're so close to the 1st of January, but baby changes all the way forward. And then you will start to see bigger changes moving forward. It's almost time to go, and it's really weird. I really don't want to go. I kind of don't want to go, but I am going to have to go. So I want to give everybody a massive thank you for being here, for listening, for sharing, for commenting, for everybody that supports this kind of work. You are the people in this group now are leaders. You show the way forward for other people. All I do is facilitate. I just facilitate what's happening here. I couldn't do it. I say this week after week. I couldn't do it without you being there and without you sharing and commenting and all of your lovely words. Okay? So, Hannah's put every day is a new day to make changes. Yes! Yes, Hannah! Yes, it is. Every day is a new change. Every time we wake up in the morning is a new day. And if you wake up, you have been gifted with a new day. Maybe I'll leave it there. You have been gifted with a new day. Because none of us know when that gift will be removed from us. Sadly, we don't. That is the reality of life. We don't know when it will be removed. So every day is a new gift. How about we start living every day as a gift from whoever it comes from. Okay, I'm going to go. This feed will be available on the Facebook page. The video that I've just shared with you bit by bit will also be on there. Any questions over the Christmas period, please fire away and I will do my best to answer them. Any way that I can help, I will honestly try. I am going to go. Thank you for the lovely comments in the feed. I really appreciate it and feel very humbled by them. And I will see you in 2021. I wish for you the kind of Christmas that you really want. Whatever that is, however that takes place, however it looks, I want you to have the Christmas that is special to you. Okay? Peace and love. Take care.